Welcome, you be trained, ba? You won't go sit down for AC. Congrats. You won't go sit down for AC. Congrats. All right. Exactly. Good afternoon, everybody. How have you guys been? How is the cold? It's cold in Go? I mean, it's colded. If that will shock you, before Caligo FMC. Man, no day. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Last week we discussed on some introduction to software engineering. And you know there's a camera watching you, right? And to leave the other one, leave that one. After the class, you put it back on. Okay? All right. Good afternoon, everybody. How have you guys been? How was the rain? Did you beat it? Dealt with you guys? Yeah. Well, when you grow up, you deal with it. Don't worry. All right. Last week we discussed on introduction to software engineering, and then we discussed on difference between computer science and what? Computer engineering and what? Software engineering, and then we talked about system engineering, and then who makes a good software engineer, right? And then we mentioned things like what? Things like the person has to be able to communicate properly. The person has to be able to. You should say you guys read. You should say you read the notes. You read the last week notes. Okay. He has to be a team player. He has to know how to motivate his team, right? Yes, he has to have general knowledge of computer science. And then we discuss on so many things. And then today we are going to continue from there. Now, in this class, we're going to discuss on software development models. They say now who know road? Now who's supposed to follow back? Now, the person that is leading every other person, if the person doesn't know road, what do you think is going to happen? They'll be misled. Just like Moses took the Israelites through this thing, assuming he doesn't know road to follow now. And they were looking at the River Nile, Abi, trying to cross it. And they said, where is the road now? Where is the road? Now he goes, say, put your staff on top of water. Let the road open, Abi. So who know road now who's supposed to follow? And that is exactly what software development model is all about. Okay? That is exactly what software development model is all about. Now, someone has developed a software before. When they develop the software, they discover so many challenges. And then they decide, let me document these challenges, and then let's start creating something that people can follow to take them from wanting to develop a software to actually what? Having the software. Okay? From I want to develop to what? Having it. Now that is what software development models is all about. Taking people from I want to the finished good. Okay? Now in this class, At the end of this class, the student should know the following. What is software development models? And type of software development models, their advantages, disadvantages, when to use them. Now, when somebody is trying to cook okra soup, and you see the person putting carrots, you know there's a problem. Someone that is trying to cook okra soup, and you see the person cutting carrots, you know there's a problem somewhere. So it's exactly like that. Okay, different development models are used in different scenarios. Okay, now that person you see the cut carrots, there is a probability that the carrot is not for that particular okra soup. Maybe he just wants to cut the carrot and be putting one by one inside his mouth. Abi, it's very possible, right? Now, if you decide to use a certain model, and that model is not the best model for that particular software development, you are going to have something called problem. Okay? You're going to have what? Problem. Why? No, you will still develop the software, but it will come with a series of problems. And by the time we finish with this chapter, you understand what we are trying to talk about. Now, at the end of this particular class, students should be able to know something called waterfall model and what prototyping model, and iterative development model, and the rapid application development, and agile processes, and using process model. Okay. Now, all this model we've been shouting since off is actually a step-by-step way of how to develop a software. Okay? It's a step-by-step way of what? How to develop a software. Now, the model you decide to pick, you have to have justification for it. Okay? You have to justify that I'm going to put tractor tire on top chicken and pep. You have to justify why. Okay? Otherwise, you'll not be able to. You just have to justify it that this is the reason why I'm deciding to use this particular model and not this other model. Okay? Now, before we start talking about models, let's talk about software development models themselves. Software development model is a guide used in project management that define the stages included in an information system development project, from initial feasibility studies to what? To the maintenance of the completed application, from initial feasibility studies to completion. Okay? Now, software development model process. There are different software development lifecycle models, specify and design, which are followed during the software development phase. These models are also called software development process models. Each process model follows a series of unique phases. Okay? So let's go to the first item, waterfall model. What is a waterfall? What is a waterfall? Nobody rainfall. Waterfall, what is it? Water falling from a cliff. To where? To the ground, right? Now, waterfall, if you haven't seen waterfall before, please carry a bucket of water. No, you don't need to go upstairs. Just carry a bucket of water, fill the bucket, and then do it like this. Okay? And then pour it from your chest height to the ground, and then observe the water falling down. Now, that is what? A waterfall model. Okay? Now, A waterfall model has series of stages from what? Requirement analysis to what? Operation and what? Maintenance. Now, waterfall model is a linear software development model whereby you move from one stage to the other. Now, this model is best suited for what? For small projects. Okay? It's best suited for what? Small projects. Because in software, in this particular model, when you finish a stage, you can't go back to that particular stage again. I don't know if I'm making sense. If you are done, let's assume with requirement, and then when you are working on implementation, then you start to think of, hey, I didn't capture this requirement very well. Let me go back to requirement. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't. Now, so you don't correct mistakes in waterfall model. Yes. And one of the things you should know is that software development in general is divided into 3 components. Okay? It's divided into what? 3 components. Now, one of the components is time, money, the time cost, and it's not on the slide now. This one is, I'm just explaining something out of, in fact, I'm even trying to remember the third item. I think it's time, costs. I can't remember the last one. If I remember, I will let you know. It's supposed to create a triangle. Now, if it skews to any direction, you're going to have a problem. Guys, let me check this thing real quick. Let me check this thing. Software, time, cost, and time, cost, and scope. Time, cost, and scope. Now, if you draw a triangle and put time, cost, and what? Scope. Now, looking at those 3 items, if one skews on any direction, you will see what kind of problem you will have. Okay? So let's assume you're supposed to deliver the project yesterday. Or let's assume you're supposed to deliver the project at the end of 2023, December. And up to date, you have not delivered the project. It's going to skew towards what? Towards cost and time. So you draw the triangle and then you skew, and then you look at, when you skew it to one direction, you look at what is being affected. Okay? And then you do it for the rest and you figure it out. So the triangle is just the 3 items: scope, time, and cost. Okay? Now, waterfall model, one of the advantages of waterfall model is before the next step of development, each step must be what? Completed. So if you're working on requirements, you have to work on requirements so you don't finish them. You've exhausted every other thing that has to do with requirement. So because you want to finish it now, instead of going to be reacting some things on the other stage, you want to put even things that you don't need. So it remains there. So you will deal with analysis in front. So things you don't need, you can take out during analysis. But then things you need and you did not put them in requirement, you're in trouble. It's suited for what? Smaller projects where requirements are well defined. Okay? It's suited for small projects where requirements are well defined. They should perform quality assurance tests, verification and validation before completing each stage. Because if you've tagged a stage completed, you can't go back to E2. Elaborate documentation is done at every phase of the software development cycle. Project is completely dependent on project team with minimum client interaction. So what does this mean? It means that when at the first stage is when you gather requirement. Once you gather requirement, you and client will not see again until you are done. You've done testing, you've deployed, you've done everything. The next time you see the client is when you'll be doing training. So client will have no inputs after requirement. It's like, how do I put it? Imagine you hire somebody to cook soup for you. You hire somebody to cook soup for you. The person asks you, which type of soup do you want? Which type of soup do you want? How much meat do you want inside? How many more you want? Goat meat, how much bone? After you've explained everything to the person that this is how I want this soup to be made, for instance, you pay the person the money, the person goes away. The next time you see the person is when the soup is ready. Now, if the next time you're going to see this person is when the soup is ready, you're not going to test whether pepper too much, whether salt too much, whether maggi too much. You as a client, you don't have a taste of it at all. Even the aroma you will smell. I don't know if you understand. Now, sorry, I'm trying. Let me get back to YouTube. Okay, even the aroma you will smell. From that time from that time that you've told the person that this is what I want, the next time you see the person is when the soup is ready. So even if the soup sweet or the soup no sweet or you don't get option now. And you can request for this thing, but then it will cost money to update, to make this thing, future enhancement and so on. It will cost money. Any changes in software is made during the process of the development. Once they are done development, which is it? Now, this is some of the advantages of waterfall model. Now, the most problematic project you will get is a project that let's assume the same soup scenario. Let's assume you are the person doing the soup. The client comes to you and tells you, I want you to make a soup for me with so number of meat, so number of almost, so number of smoked fish, and so on and so forth. You are the person making the soup now, okay? And then the person tells you, enter. You tell him, okay, so pay me. The person pays you. And then you want to go. The person says, where are you going to? We go to your house together now. I don't know if you're understanding. Now, you are trying to cut pepper. The person is telling you, hey, you forget you didn't put salt. You are trying to put salt. The person is telling you, this thing you are trying is too much. I mean, no, they do that. You always like this. Not they put too much salt like that. Now imagine you are the person making the soup for the other person. At the end of the day, you end up being frustrated. So it's exactly the same thing in software development. If you have to always see the client, people's how do I put it? People's what people want change with time. What people want change with time. So maybe this week you can meet the person and the person tells you, no, I don't want it this way, I want it this way. Next meeting, the person will tell you, no, I don't want it that way, I want it this way. Now, the project will what? Will pass the due date. So that is a disadvantage. So this waterfall model is an advantage whereby you see the client at the initial phase and then at the final phase for the software engineer or software developers. Okay. Disadvantages. Error can be fixed only during the phase. So if you are trying to resolve a problem, let's assume in analysis, you have to resolve it during analysis. It will not move to design and then you come back to analysis again. It doesn't work that way. Okay? It is not desirable for complex projects where requirement changes frequently. Now, when you have you find yourself in situations whereby the project you're working on, the requirements keep changing. Okay, requirements keep what changing due to maybe business policy, maybe due to how the university or how the place you are working for wants it. The requirement keeps changing. Now, if you adopt waterfall model, you're in trouble. Okay, testing period comes quite late in the development process. So you do the analysis, you do your design, you do your development, and then you test. Testing comes quite late, though you can do verification and validation on each phase, but the testing of the application itself come quite late. Okay, documentation occupies a lot of time because for waterfall model, since you cannot skip a stage, what that will translate to is that when you're doing testing, you have to test for everything. Now, I don't know of you, but testing a software takes a lot of time. Most of you will know what testing will entail, but how many of you have used a software where you are asked to enter your age? How many? You're asked to enter your age, maybe 35, 40, 30, 20. How many of you? You have, right? Now, when they said age, did they specify the data type they want? Is it 35 as in word or 35 as in figures? So in software development, you have to test for all those things. You select your date of birth. That is a drop down. Okay. Like questionnaires. Now, clients' valuable feedback cannot be included with ongoing development phase. So sometimes what client will tell you is actually right. So many times when I take my car for repair, I don't give the mechanic and go away. I stay there. I'll waste my time, I don't mind. Because most of the time, they will remove screw and then they will not put it back. So now you have to start wondering, these screws, almost 5 screws that were removed are not back in. They mad when they put excess? No. Look, that is why most of our cars are in trouble. That is why most of our cars are in trouble. But if any screw you remove, there is a reason why it's there. If you look at small, let's assume this is my phone like this, and there is 7 screws on it. There is reason why there is that 7 screw. Sometimes it's not just being 7 screws. Sometimes it deals with pressure. Sometimes it deals with something hitting it or something. There is a reason for that. But Nigerian mechanic will just remove your bottom plate and then they'll tell you just need only 3 to hold it. After 3 weeks, it will come down and then they'll tell you bring it for us to repair and you pay us again. Business continue. Small changes or errors that arise in the completed software may cause what? A lot of what? Problems. Online people are agreed to. I am with you guys. I'm not forgetting you guys. Welcome. So when do you use waterfall model? When requirements are constant and not changed regularly. I'll give an example. Imagine you are asked to develop a system that records the death and birth of people. Imagine you are asked to develop a software that records the birth and death of people. Do you think that requirement will change? It will not change. you're looking at, look at it from development perspective. Do you think the requirement will change? Hardly. Hardly. Because it's a straightforward what? System. Now imagine somebody asks you to develop a system that keeps track of each step of the person's achievement or something. So at what age did the person start primary school? At what age did the person start secondary school? When he got sick, what happened? Which hospital was he taken to? Now, once you start to get a system that is a bit complex, waterfall model is not the model for you. Okay? Where situation is calm, you can use waterfall model. In a situation whereby in an environment where the situation is not calm, please stay away from waterfall model. Calm situation. So look at it this way. You are developing a software, and there is high probability of something going to change. At any point in time, something can change. Situation is not calm. When situation is calm, things are as they are, no ambiguity whatsoever. Okay? Now, where tools and technology use is consistent and is not changing. Let me give you a simple example. When I started learning what's this programming language called? AngularJS. I was learning Angular version, was it 2 or something? And then out of nowhere, a friend of mine came in and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm learning Angular. He said, which version? I said, version 2. He said, you're supposed to be learning version 4 now. It has moved to version 4. I said, okay. I dropped that one. I picked version 4. I started learning it. Everything is totally different. Midway, another person came and met me and said, you're in version 8 now. I said, no, I'm going to do it again. It's in version what? 8. Now, if you check Angular, please somebody help me check Angular version and let me know which version they are on. So, if AngularJS version, so if there is possibility of changes in technology or the tools you are using, don't use waterfall model. They're in version 10 now. Okay. The problem with that is, from one version to another, the changes is just too much. It's just too much. When resources are well prepared and are available to use, you can use waterfall model. What does that mean? Anyone? And resources. If cash is no, the only you want to use do the work. If you don't have resources doesn't just mean cash. Cash is included, but then resources include even the person that is going to do the work, the programmers, the testers, all of those people. Are resources, human resources. Okay, so you need to have the resources ready and available before you embark on using waterfall model. Now, RAD, Rapid Application what? RAD, or Rapid Application Development Process, is an adaptation of what? Of waterfall model. It targets developing software in a short what? In a short period of time. ASAP. The RAD model is based on the concept that a better system can be developed in lesser time by using focus groups and gather focus group to gather system requirement. Now, with RAD, you can develop your application. You can develop an application very, very fast. Let's assume you have a client that comes to you and says, Oga software engineer, I gave somebody a project to do. The person did not finish the project. The timeline is in the next 3 weeks. And what can you do for me, I beg? And then after a small investigation, you realize that the person has not even touched, has not even done anything yet. You need to adopt RAD. Okay? So everything will be done in haste. Okay? Now, what are the advantages? Is what is flexible for change. So it means that you can make changes after iterations. In this model, changes are adaptable. Each phase in RAD brings highest priority functionality to what? The customer. So when you're using RAD, you ask the person, what do you need the most in this software? I want to be able to register people. So you develop that part and hand over. You are registering people. What next? I want to be able to do this. You release the next module, and the next module, and the next module. Until one? Good. It increased the reusability of features. It reduced development time. Now, the disadvantage of RAD is it requires highly skilled designers. Why does it? Let me give an example. Have you ever used Nightboss? Nightboss. If the person driving Nightboss is not highly skilled, do you think the person will take you to where you're going to? You need someone that is highly skilled because you need it to be done what? Fast. If you want to use RAD and then you go and hire the programmer that will look at the keyboard and then press A, and then look at the other side of the keyboard and press P. How markets? Now they will settle matter now. For smaller projects too. Now, so far we have how many models that deal with smaller projects? Waterfall and what? And RAD. Yeah, for smaller projects. Oh yeah, sorry. We cannot use RAD model for smaller projects. On the high technical risk, it's not suitable. So when a project has high technical risk, it's not feasible to use RAD. Required user involvement. So because you are working on the system, you're developing the system as quickly as possible, you need to be able to interact with the people that are going to use the system, the users. Because you gather the requirement to do everything, but still, you will still need feedback from the users. Okay? When do you use it? When requirements are well known, when technical risk is limited, when there is necessity to make a system which modularize in which period of time? It should be used only if the budget allows the use of automatic code generation tools. When there is a necessity to make a system, how do I put it? So sometimes situations happen when there is need for a software to be made. Let's take for instance our airliners, the planes we fly. If we discover that a system is need to be installed on a certain type of aircraft, then the need for it arises because those aircraft are already what? Flying. And it's discovered that without that particular software, These are the kind of problems that might happen. So the need for it has, there is necessity for it to be made. You need to make that software so that you can patch the current airliners software. I don't know if it makes sense. Okay. Technical risk? Yes. Yeah, but then you're looking at it from one perspective. It's more like you're developing it as fast as possible. And then you're hiring the best team you can get. But even with the best team you can get, a software development is not as easy as that. Because something might go wrong. And if what can go wrong is high, the risk is high, RAD is not for you. Okay? So let's chop the next one. I think online guys, I think your video is hanging somewhere. Drag it forward because we're working on prototype. Prototyping. What is prototype? A stripped down version of. So what does a prototype? What does a prototyping model requires? So let's take for instance. You want to develop a software. You can draw a sketch of it. A simple. It doesn't have to be perfect. No. It can be a rough sketch of that particular software. The person is telling you, I need this to be done, I need this, I need this, I need this. You're capturing it, you're looking at it, and then at the end of it, okay. So from what you've said now, what I'm trying to understand is does this particular diagram captures your software solution? It can be a rough sketch, it can be a throwaway sketch, if you may. Now with prototyping model, what that will do is it gives the person, the client, a sense of what the software is going to be like. It gives the person an idea of what the software is going to be like. Okay? Prototyping model requires that before carrying out the development of actual software, a working prototype of the software should be built. A prototype is a toy implementation of the system. Okay? A prototype usually turns out to be a very crude version of what? Actual system. It exhibits what? Limited functionalities and capabilities. Functional capabilities. Low reliability and inefficient performance as compared to what? To the actual software. Let me give you a simple example. How many of you guys watched this movie? I don't know which year it was released, about this car racing. Ford versus, I think, is it Ford versus Lamborghini or something? Ford versus Lamborghini, I think that is the name of it. I don't know the name of the movie. Now, when they were making the Ford car, they show us step by step how, no, it's Ferrari versus Lamborghini. How their rivalry started and all. And you see the drawing that, I think, is it Ferrari? No, Lamborghini, the first sketch he made of the car is a rough sketch. And then after a while, that rough sketch started taking what? Shape. And before you know what's going on, it becomes what? A racing car. This university is Ford versus Ferrari. You guys should go and watch the movie. Very interesting. I think there is one Ford versus Ferrari, and then there is, I think, Ferrari and Lamborghini. One of those two. You go and search for it. Okay. Now, what are the advantages of this particular model? Reduce the risk of what? Incorrect user requirements. Good where requirements are what? Changing and what? Uncommitted. You can use prototyping. Regular visible progress aids what? Management. Support early product what? Marketing. If you have a model, you can actually start marketing it. Yes. Imagine right now, as a Nigerian in Nigeria, you want to start a car company, and then you make a model of the car, right? And you go to the bank and say, I want to start producing cars in Nigeria. I already have the land. It's located in plots this. I have already made contact with some of the American companies that will provide me with all the necessary materials I need to actually put up a factory to produce car. I need, and this is a model, and then you show them a printed 3D model, just small. These are the first batch of cars that I'm looking at. Right now, I have so million in the account to start, but I want to be able to what? Produce this particular product in large quantity. Do you think the bank will take you seriously? Yes. Why?
Because they are seeing something.
Yes. But when you come and start telling the bank, Oga Banker, I think say I want to start a car business. I want to produce car. I need money. Do you think the person will take you seriously? No. Why? You don't have a model to show. You don't have anything to show for it. Okay? So it allows for early marketing. There and then you can even start showcasing those cars in advertisements. Go to Wazobia FM, advertise. Go to Brekete Family, the first company that will start producing sport cars that has shock absorber that even after 30 years in Nigeria with the potholes, it will jump the pothole when it reaches there. You explain to an ordinary president, Abi, what next? You start to get customers. And truthfully, when you reach where pothole is, the car jump the pothole. What do you think will happen? You have patronage. So you can start advertisement before what? Good. It reduces maintenance costs. Because if you have everything done from the prototyping phase, that means you will not need to worry about maintenance, because from that prototyping phase, you already see some of the problems that you might encounter in the future. Okay? When you build a small Taj Mahal using stick, and then you look at the main Taj Mahal, you know the problems you're going to encounter. I hope you know what Taj Mahal is. My God. Please, somebody Google Taj Mahal. Taj. Just type Taj, you see Mahal next to it. And what people don't know it, so let them know. It's a very big, very hefty. Sometimes I used to wonder, these people that used to gift this kind of things to their wife, this kind of life now. They make us look like say we don't care about our wives. All right, let's move on. Errors can be detected much earlier as system is made side by side. Okay, So with prototyping model, it's a house. That's my house. It's built, and I've never been there, so I cannot see. Now, from when you're building the model, you'll be able to see problems. Okay. From when you're building the smaller model, you're able to see what problems, and you can be able to what resolve them easily at when it's due. Now, what are the disadvantages? An unusable / badly implemented prototype often becomes what? I don't know if you understand. What this means is that let's assume the person wants a car that has 5 tires, that has 3 boots, and then you made a model of the car, and the car looks like that is even better. The car looks like frog, for instance. Do you think the person will invest his money to make the car? When you make a badly made prototype, from looking at the prototype, the person will say, "Kai, I've lost interest in this." So that is the last thing you've made. That is final product. Requires extensive customer collaboration. Extensive what? Customer collaboration. Cost. You have to make a prototype that will impress. No. Even as a sketch, it has to impress. No. Okay. Need committed customers or consumers. Now, when you are developing software for people, the people are the end users. In this model, you have to interact a lot with the end users. Now, let's assume you're one of the end users in an office. Somebody is brought in to develop a software for you, and every day he's sitting next to you. And how do you do this? And how do you do that? How do you do that? And does this look fine? Is this what you want? You get tired. Now, if you're not dedicated, if you hear this person is coming, you will leave the office. And that will extend the time for the project. So you need what? Committed? Yes. Difficult to finish if customer withdraw. Now, for waterfall, if the person don't pay you, you no go see him. But this one now, because the person is always, in fact, the person is helping you to put firewood. So the person can withdraw at any point in time. The software can be too customer specific and will not be suitable for what? A broader market. Okay. So let's assume I come to Bayes University here and say, Bayes University, I want to build a software for you. This is the prototype of the software I'm thinking of building for you. Every time I want to do something, I will ask Bayes University, how do you do course registration? How do you do progression? How do you do how do you add your courses? How do you do everything is what? Centered towards this. Now, if University of Abuja come and say, we heard that you have a software for this, please bring that software for us. You have to change a lot of things. No, not all over, but you even wish to you have started all over. Because the system is what? It's specific to this. So there is no broader market for that software. But if you ask Base, you ask Abuja, you ask Nasarawa, you ask Kefi, you ask Ilorin, and then based on what they tell you, you what? You do filter and this thing, and you develop the software based on that. Now, that software can be adopted in where? In Nasarawa, Kefi, Base, Abuja, Ilorin. Okay? Now, with prototyping model, it will be difficult to know how long the project will last. Okay? Yeah, you prototype. When you learn how to cook with sand at home, back then, remember that those years? Nobody got to say no cook with sand. Even guys cook with sand. I mean, you no cook with sand, chief. Everybody cook with sand. Unless if you are not Nigerian or African. At any point in time, at some point in time, you cook with sand. That is by force. If you haven't, you better go outside and start cooking with sand to know. Good afternoon, welcome. Wait. Even if you... When you're cooking with sand, you're actually making what? Prototype. How long do you take you to cook that sand? You take your can of pig milk. Can of pig milk. You take one small stone, another small stone, and that's you put sand. You carry small leaf, and then you squeeze, and then you say the food is ready. You bring a bottle Coke. Back then there was no bottle. This normal Coke. There was this the metallic type. Canter. You put everybody inside canter. This one is for daddy. This one is for mommy. This one is. Now, when you're making that rice, when you're making that food, you're making what? A prototype. How long did it take you? Very short time. When you start cooking the actual rice, how long did it take you? Longer time. And mind you, sometimes when you're cooking rice itself, some rice you cook for 15-20 minutes, you don't cook. Some, it take 1 hour. You see the cook, never done. So it's you cannot be what? It is difficult to what? Know how long the project will last. Now, with prototype, it's easy to fall back into the code and fix without proper requirement analysis, design, customer evaluation, and feedback. At some point, something happened and you need to be able to make changes. Without any documentation, without anything, you can easily go back to the code and change. No, the development team now, prototyping tools are what? Expensive. Thank God for, what's this thing called? Is it no, this model, Adobe XD, Figma, and so on, that you can do for free, right? Apart from those ones, before you can get prototyping tools, your pocket will shake. Now, the time it takes to develop that prototype itself, you have to put it as part of as one of the items under the development, because to develop the prototype, it will take you time. And mind you, there is high probability of making mistakes if that is the first prototype you're making. I don't know if you understand. Let's assume, okay, let's take it at the top. Our car engines. Sorry about that. Let's take it from the top. Our car engines. Imagine the first person that produced the first prototype. How long do you think it took that person to make that prototype? Right now, we are having cars that consume less fuel. That sorry, I don't know why this person decided to call me. Sorry, please give me a moment. Let me get back. Let me get this back. Okay, stop sharing. Stop sharing. I can't see my slide anymore. Okay, let's continue like this. Okay. Um. Okay. When to use prototyping model? Prototyping model should be used when the desired system need to have a lot of interactions. I don't know why people are disturbing me. Just these few moments. And I've told them that I have class today, far. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry, guys. I think I have to stop. I have to stop all these things to be able to catch up again. Mhm. All right. Online people, can you see me? Okay. Okay. Sorry for waiting. I received I received a call, and the call messed up my system and my phone at the same time. So I had to restart my system and make some other adjustment. Now, as at when should we use prototyping model? Prototyping model should be used when the desired system need to have a lot of interactions with the end user. Okay? Typically, online systems such as web interface have a high amount of interaction and high amount of interaction with end users are best suited for prototyping model. It might take a while for a system to be built that allows easy to use and needs minimal training for the staff. Now, imagine developing a system that uses the prototyping model. The users, because of the high level of interaction you're going to have with the end users, they will need little to no training. Okay, they will need what? Little to no training whatsoever, because I've already sent it to the WhatsApp group, to the Telegram. And you understand my face? Okay, all right. Uh, John Otoge is. I think it's your own screen that is having problem, but I think I'm looking at myself live. So, all right, guys, let's move on. Prototyping ensures that end user constantly work with the system and provide a feedback, which is what incorporated in the prototype to result in a usable system. They are excellent for designing good human-computer interaction systems. The next one is spiral model. Spiral. What comes to your mind when you hear the word spiral? Hmm? Something what? Something round. Something that goes on and on and on and on, like a runabout or heartbreak. And it goes on and on till one pass out now. Are you sure? Okay. His ladies are shouting no. Then it's maybe okay. The spiral model, initially proposed by Boehm, is an evolutionary software process model that couples the iterative feature of prototyping with the controlled and systematic aspect of the linear sequence model. So this is what? A combination of what? Prototyping and what? And waterfall. Mhm. Linear sequence model. I did. And you're just with her now. How will you hear? Using the spiral model, the software is developed in a series of what? Incremental release. During the early interaction, the additional release may be a paper model or what? A prototype. During the later iteration, more and more complete version of the engineered system are what? Produced. So this is combination of waterfall and what? And prototype. Now, when you combine waterfall and prototype, what do we get? Spiral. Now, the beauty of spiral is it supports changes. Okay, it, all those limitations of waterfall and the advantages of prototype, combine them together, and then you get spiral model. Okay. But okay. So advantages: high amount of risk analysis. So you perform a lot of risk analysis at each stage of the development. Okay. Useful for what? For large and what? Mission critical project. What is a mission critical project? It picks the advantages. It picks the disadvantages of prototype and waterfall, and combine the advantages of those two also. But then it tries to resolve those problems it has. Like in waterfall, you cannot make changes, but in prototyping you can make changes. So in this model, you can what? Make changes. Okay, and for large software, you use what? Spiral model. Because limitation of waterfall is what? It's supposed to be used for what? Small projects. Projects that have well-defined requirements. But for prototyping, the requirement doesn't have to be well-defined per se. And then this allows you to have a requirement that yeah. Now, disadvantages is what? It can be costly. It can be what? Costly. This analysis needed highly particular expertise. Does not work well with what? Smaller projects. When do you use this model? When requirements, when deliverance is required to be often, you use this project. When this model, when the project is what? Is large. When requirements are unclear and complex. If you remember, these are things you don't use waterfall for. But for this particular model, you use this model for when you have complex requirements, when changes may be required at any time, large and high budget projects. So now here the money day. So say for instance you want to develop a system for a bank, and then the application you're building is the one that is going to be used for transfer, for debiting, for crediting, for loan, for this, for all of those things. The system you are developing is the one that we use to manage their staff, to do this, to do that, to do this. Now, if you say you have to develop all of everything before they start using the software, yawa godi. So what do? You take the one with the highest priority, and then you do. First, since we are tired, please everybody stand up. Everybody, please stand up. We want to practice the agile methodology. Okay? Now, please, if you have a text in front of you, push it a bit. Push it so that your leg can do like this. Okay? Okay. Now, if you have a phone with you, please drop it. We're not testing agility yet, okay? So this is what we do, okay? Now, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And then we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Then we do what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And then we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Then we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like that going down, okay? All right, stretch, okay. Now, right hand, left hand, right leg, left leg, okay? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those of you attending online, today is not your day. Okay? All right, let's move on. Agility, or agile software development model. Okay? The meaning of agile is to be what? To be swift or what? Versatile. Agile process model refers to a software development approach based on iterative model. Based on what? Iterative model. Now, agile model breaks tasks into what? Into smaller iterations, or parts do not directly involve long-time what? Planning. The project scope and requirements are laid down at the what? Okay. Now, plans regarding the number of iterations, the duration and scope of each iteration are clearly what? In what? An advance. Okay? Now, each iteration is considered a short time, is considered as a short what? Time frame. In agile process model, each typically lasts from 1 to what? 4 weeks. The division of the entire project into smaller parts help to minimize what? Project risks and what? To reduce the overall project delivery time requirement. Each iteration involves a team working through a full software development life cycle, including what? Planning, Good. Now, agile testing models, you have things like Scrum, and then under Scrum, you have something called Scrum Master, and so on and so forth. You have the Crystal, you have dynamic software development methodology, you have future-driven development, you have lean software development, and then you have what? Extreme programming. Advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages of this particular model is delivery, frequent delivery, okay? Face-to-face communication with clients, efficient design, and fulfills the business requirement. Anytime changes are acceptable. So at any point in time, you can make changes. Now, in my exams, you should see questions like, are changes allowed in waterfall model? True or false?
No.
Now, okay. It reduces total development time. Now, what are the disadvantages? It creates confusion, and critical decisions taken throughout various phases can be misinterpreted at any time by different team members. Okay? Due to lack of proper documentation, once the project completes and the developers allotted to another project, maintenance of the finished project can become what? Who is supposed to maintain it? Testing. It's testing I was talking about. Oh, that a software developer should not test his software. The software development team should not be the ones testing their software. It should be a separate team. That's why I sent the four slides. Okay. Now, so somebody is asking which of these models is is mostly in use. It depends on which software you're developing. That's the answer to that question. It depends on which software you're developing. Yes. So this particular model is what? When do you use it? When frequent changes are what? Required. When a highly qualified and experienced team is what? Available. When a customer is ready to have a meeting with a software development team all the time, when the project is small. Yeah, but then, okay, let's assume you have a project of 300 million naira. That is the point. No. So this is the problem. When you hear the amount, you think you don't blow. But when you start to spend the money, you start to wonder whether you can change your car tire. You never blow yet too. And mind you, most software development projects, they don't pay you the entire money. Yeah. You might negotiate maybe 30, 70, or 30, 50, 20. Yeah. Sometimes when you're developing a software for a firm, they will tell you, we can't pay you for the project you're going to do for us. So what we will do is we will fund the development costs, and then we'll give you shares in our company. Mm. Now, the way the problem starts is when they make profit and then you don't get your own share of the profit. No, no, you are no, you are a shareholder. You know, you are entitled to it. All right. Iteration or iterative model. So right now we're supposed to speak about this before the previous model. Okay? Before the agile. Because agile is driven from here. Okay? So in this model, you can start with some of the software specification and develop the first version of the software. After the first version, if there is need to change the software, then a new version of the software is what created, and with a what new iteration. Okay, with new iteration. Every release of the iteration model finishes in an exact and fixed period that is called what? Iteration. So what this model does is this, okay? You have a software, you create the first iteration creates the software. Now, subsequent iteration adds features and other requirements. Sorry, other features of the software. So if you look at the diagram on the board, you will see the first iteration has all the software development lifecycle items: requirement, analysis, design, development, testing. Second iteration has what? Design, testing, implementation, and what? Review. Third iteration, unko. So in each iteration, you have a newer version of that particular software. Yes. Advantage: testing and debugging during smaller iterations is easy. A parallel development can a parallel development can you can plan a parallel development whereby you have parallel teams doing the same project. It is easily acceptable to ever changing needs of the project. So this allows you to make changes to requirements. You can change. You can make if there is any change in requirements, you can be able to easily integrate it. Risks are identified and resolved during an iteration. Limited time spent on documentation and extra time on designing. So if you look at the diagram, you will see that there is limited time spent on what? Documentation. Because documentation is mostly done at the requirement phase. That is where you have the most documentation, requirement analysis, and design. After design, it's all about implementation. It is not suitable for what? Small projects. More resources may be required. Design can be changed again and again because of what? Imperfect requirements. Requirement changes can cause over budgets. Project completion dates not confirmed because of changes or changing requirements. When do you use this model? When the software is what? It's large. When there are requirement changes in future. Okay? Okay. Incremental model. There are many of them, really. There are many models. But the model you decide to use, should conform with the type of software you're developing and the kind of environment you're developing the software for. If it's a chaotic environment, you should know which model to go for. Okay, I think this is the last part of the slide. This is the last part of the slide. Let me see if I can scroll, if I can enter a bit into the next one, because next week is our last class for this course. We started capstone today? How many weeks have you done for this class? This is second week. Okay. So this is second now. Okay. Let's chew this. I think it's not much, and the explanation is just straightforward. So let's quickly. What's the time now? We're finishing when? 4:30 now. We started 2:30. It's 2 hours. Abi? Okay. So let's chew this quickly. No time to waste. No time to check time. Now, at the end of this class, students should be able to know what is requirement. What are the type of requirements? Requirement engineering process, software requirement specification, requirement gathering techniques, requirement characteristics, user interface requirements. Now, I'm going to chew through this like a wildfire. Now, what is requirements? No. So you should make, but then you have to make decisions based on what is best for the Another question. Yes, when you have a small system that doesn't require much, I'm not part of the implementation team that will decide which model they use, and I cannot assume which model they use. I don't know if you understand. Hmm? Yes, but then the issue is, let's assume you don't have the budget. You don't have the budget, and then you decide to pick fire in place of waterfall. So let's assume you don't have the expert team that will do the development for you. Instead of you to use waterfall, you pick fire. You fall into problems. I don't know if you understand. Okay, so yes, online people are back. I don't know what's wrong with this my slides today and my system. Okay, so we're doing question and answer. Okay, so you're asking a question. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Not how follow prototyping, okay. Okay, so let's take it from the top and assume, right? Let's assume that you are given a project to develop a system for Bayes University. She is given the same project to develop the system for Bayes University. Hmm? Now, the requirements are well known. Hmm? The project is not big. Hmm? You've, you don't have the necessary team you need to develop the project, and you don't have enough money to go about spending all over the place. So you decide to go with waterfall model. Let's assume your budget is 300,000 naira. That is your budget. She is given 5 million to develop the same project. So she has resources. She has development team. She has those with technical know-how on how to go about deploying Spiral. You don't have the resources, you don't have the team, so you decide to go with waterfall model. Now, it took you both of you the same time to develop the same software. You have the same output. But the issue on ground is she will spend more money because the model she is using requires her to actually do more than you are required to do. I don't know if you understand. Uh-huh. Not really. The output will be the same. In fact, at some point, I think she will finish faster than you. Because the environment is calm. So she knows the requirement. She did analysis once. She did analysis, she did her design, she implemented, test, deploy. While at each stage of yours, you have to do this analysis.